Welcome to Everything Life and Real Estate. Let's get started with our hosts, Linda McKissick and Dana Gentry.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Everything Life and Real Estate. I'm Linda McKissick.
And I'm Dana Gentry.
Hey, Dana. So we just got back from a whirlwind. How many days? 5 days in Vegas at the family reunion. But it was probably the best. Do you think so? I mean, I say that every year, but I really mean it this year.
Yeah, I was just getting ready to say it was by far, this was my 10th family reunion, and by far this was my favorite, hands down.
Oh, yeah, so good. Mel Robbins and Tony Robbins. What a combo. Whew.
And you know who I already loved, and I know you already know him, but Rory Vaden. I mean, I took so many notes.
Yes.
Really, really, really good.
Yes, I did. So that's what we're going to cover today. We're going to give you highlights of what we got from family reunion. So if you were there, some of you will get some of the same things, but maybe we heard it differently, or we took it differently, or maybe you heard it differently and took it differently. So I kind of thought we just go chronological, or is that the way you want to go? Like the way it kind of happened? Like CEO event was first.
Yep, that's what I started with. Yep, that's perfect.
Okay. All right, perfect. So kick us off with CEO event.
Yep. Okay. So CEO event is kind of a private event, but they've also opened it now, but they limit it. So you have to buy a separate ticket to get to that. But Gary always kicks it off, and then he has some great guests. And I loved the CEO Summit this year. Actually, it was probably, I thought last year was going to be my favorite. This year, I thought I liked every single speaker. Like there wasn't one that lost my attention. They were just all so good. I loved when Gary started off, though, talking about just where we are kind of with the industry. And he talked a little bit about business, and he said, your business may be your best place to scale your values. And I've never heard him say that before. And I love that. He was talking about how your values actually connect you to everything else. And so he said a lot of people will strip out value like during this season of the market because they're trying to cut costs or they're cutting expenses. But I loved when he said that your business may be your best place to scale your values. And he talked a lot about your database is your business, which we hear that all the time. But he said that working your database the way that you should is actually the least amount of money spent to get you the most amount of money that they pay us versus like buying so many leads. And just for whatever reason, like the way he said it that time, I was like, man, that's so true. It makes so much sense.
Well, and he does this every time. And this is the part that everybody doesn't want to hear is, and he started out by saying, Vince Lombardi says, or Jason said it, Vince Lombardi says, this is a football.
Yeah.
We keep looking for magic answers. And I'm guilty of this too, especially in the world of diet and food you're supposed to eat. I'm always looking for the next really miracle answer. And there is not. There is basics of everything you want to accomplish. And the sooner you accept that and figure out a system to stick with it, the more successful you're going to be in business, health, physical, spiritual, everything. And we keep, especially now that there's so much information out there, I caught myself going, just you can go a million different directions, but I think we get bored with the basics, and we don't want to hear that it's database and all that stuff, but it is.
It is. Yeah, it always has been.
I loved his thing this time, and I always think of you when I think of this, but I also think of me also, because I think most multifaceted entrepreneurs like new shiny ideas.
Yep.
And he said, master a few things, life is big. Try to master a lot of things, your life is small.
Yep. I wrote that down and highlighted that.
Foster a hard plan, life is easy. And I always say that. Do the hard things and life will be easy. Do the easy things and life will be hard.
Yeah.
Focus on what matters and you'll have few regrets. Focus on what doesn't matter and you'll be full of regrets.
Yep, totally. I liked when he said about the hard thing too. Doing what you have to do, whether you like it or not, is the definition of hard.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, like the last, I would say 18 months have really taught me exactly what you just said. Like there are so many things that I would love to say yes to that I'm saying no to because of that. Because like it almost has to, if you're that type of profile, you almost have to get bit. Like it almost has to bite you in the butt. To be able to really look at it and say like, okay, like I can't go to want to do this business and start this business and do this. It just doesn't work. I mean, it's exhausting, honestly.
Yeah. Or we don't do, enough really thinking through on the front end on what it would actually take to build a successful blank business, any business, right?
Yeah.
I mean, from building our own real estate businesses, look how long we've
Yeah.
been at it. Look how many years it's taken us. So anytime we take on something new, we have to say, are we committed for a good 5 years or 10 years? Sometimes, especially 5 before you see really great results. Can I stay committed to this and
Yeah.
excited about this for that long with doing it? So
yeah. Funny that you say that too, because this year is the 6th year since I took over the Columbus office, and our trends are up. Like they're just killing
Yeah.
it in every category. And for the first 3 years, I know you remember because I called you probably too much about it. But I mean, I was like, oh my God, I can't do this. Why did I do this? I can't do this. And really, like it is at that 5-year mark. I mean, everything changed because we just stayed the course and we're consistent.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But it's got to be something that you can stick with for that amount of time to get the reward that you really deserve out of it.
Yep. So true. Mark Willis shared something at the CEO Summit, a book that he used a long time ago called Creative Visualization. And I ordered that, and I ordered the workbook, and I actually have been working through it on the planes the last couple of days or couple week or so. And it's really good. And it's definitely about like visualizing, which I've always kind of been into that. But this kind of lets you pull like spirituality into it or whatever, higher power you believe in. And I really like that. So if anybody is listening and struggling with like vision or visualizing what you want, I would highly recommend that creative visualization workbook. I've really liked it. I'm about a third of the way through it, but it makes you think differently.
That reminds me of something. Yesterday I was walking, which I did a video, but my hair looked so bad I didn't put it out. It was snowing and it was wet. I almost put it out with the caption, snowy wet hair and I don't care. You know what I mean? But I had a big aha. I was listening to Mel Robbins. We have this in Montana, we have this big hill, and then you turn the corner and you go up another big hill, and you turn the corner and go up another big hill, and then you go up another big hill. It's like 4 big hills to get to the top. And so I always have to have a podcast to get me through it. But I was listening to Mel Robbins yesterday, and she had Lewis Howes on there, and they were talking about.
I love him.
They had manifestation on there. So thinking of creative visualization. And one of the things that she said, okay, so I'm going to say 2 points on this. We digress to something else. But anyway, she said that when you're doing visualization, don't just put a dream board of like something that's like so far out. And they use the analogy of a marathon. Don't just visualize the finish line, which what I've always kind of heard, but visualize mile 13 being really hard.
Yeah.
Because if what happens is if you don't, when you're visualizing something and you're working towards it and you get to a really hard spot, you quit because you weren't prepared for that hard space. So I thought that was very, very interesting.
Wow.
And then the second thing she said, she described, I think it was RAS, where you see what you believe or what you're looking to see. And she talked about it and kind of thought about it like a fishnet on your head, that it's like filters that'll only let certain things in. And I've always wondered, like, why am I good? I feel like I'm really good at manifesting, and I know it's not me. I know, God's in control of everything, but for some reason I can visualize something and then it happens, not right away, but something in me goes to work to get that. And I kind of have a knowing the minute I visualize it. I always use the example of the beach house. Right, the beach. I know exactly where I was. I said, I want a house. But I realize now, how Dan Sullivan says your unique ability is something you've done since you were like 7 years old.
Yeah. Have you done that since you were 7?
Well, what I've done since I was 7 is I used to be all alone a lot. So I would go out in the field and go to a stream and I would just imagine. I used my imagination all the time. So I'm wondering if I got it like revved up and ready for that. I know it's crazy because when, they talk about unique ability and they say, what did you do when you were a kid? I'm like, how do I put that down as a unique ability? I mean, gosh, I dreamed and pretended and imagined, because there was nobody there to play with. So it's got to do something, right?
But now look at it. I mean, that's true.
But it's weird because the way she said that was, it's almost like something that you can work on. You can kind of get better at. So I'm going to read that book because I want to see what they say about.
Get the workbook because I like the workbook. I mean, the book is good too, but I like the workbook, and you can get it on Amazon. But you actually like do that. You write it out and you do the activities and stuff. But he said, I'll just read you this one sentence and then we got to get back talking about family reunion. But they say like you pick a goal, then you make out an affirmation of it in the present tense, like I have or I am. Yeah. And then you picture your goal or feel it as if it were already true. But then the last part is, he said, then this is the part where I think is like spiritual for me. Then you consciously turn your goal over to a higher power, whatever you believe in, and let go of it, meaning you don't try to make it happen. You relax and let the higher force go to work within you to create it. And they walk you, I don't know who wrote this, if it's a woman or a man, to be honest, at Shakti, and their picture is not on here. So I don't know. But anyway, the author walks you through like the techniques, and one of them is like this pink bubble technique, because pink is actually like the color that attaches to your heart. So when they have you manifest it, you close your eyes and you see it, and then in your eyes you see a big pink bubble come and like wrap it up and then carry it off. Like I picture like it's going up to God in heaven. So like whatever you picture, like you people will picture different things. But they say that there's like all this relation to like the pink bubble technique. So anyway, I don't know if that was one of the beginnings, but it's really fascinating.
Yeah. I used to read a lot more about that stuff than I do now. I'm going to go back to try to looking at that. And I'm going to get that book. So we can talk about that book further as we both go through it.
Yeah. You get it and then we'll do an episode on it. I love that.
Okay.
But the reason why I share that is because I do think it's kind of cool, because when Mark Willis shared his story, and we've heard so many other people that have had that this has happened to, and you're a great example of that too. Things that he visualized like years and years and years ago that he stayed with, like came to fruition when he was kind of walking through his story talking about that. But he said that it flipped because Gary said to him, I wrote this down, I thought this was so good, Linda. Gary said, Mark, I just feel like you have a calm about you, like no anxious energy. And he said, you're energized, but not in a fidgety way. And Mark said, it's because I know where I'm going and I know who I am now. And so my energy has completely shifted towards like the things that I visualized becoming a reality. And I was like, man, that's a good lesson. Good for him.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right. So who was first? I can't remember who was first.
Rory Vaden.
Rory was, but yeah, Rory was next. Okay. Which I loved so many things about Rory. One of the things he said is you are best, and I think someone else said this too, you're best suited to serve the person you once were.
Yep, that was the first thing I wrote down.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
And so I kind of think about it because I think when I think of trying to serve, I sometimes don't go back to the person I was. I think it's kind of hard for me. But I was thinking about this the other day when I was walking also. I thought, I think I keep trying to jump ahead and serve people, farther along. And I think what I got to do is go back and put myself into that spot when I first started trying to, achieve more and do more.
Yep. So I worked through this on the plane and I'm still kind of working through it, but it was like the one thing that I wanted to get done on the flight home from Vegas. And it was the homework that he suggested. And he said, in order to live that out, you are most powerfully positioned to serve the person that you once were. He said, do the exercise. Number one, who is the person that I once was? And like, just word dump, like brain dump, make a list of all the people or all the qualities or whatever that you once were, which most of them are like negative things, but then after that, it's what did I have during that time? So like, for instance, if I was uneducated and didn't have any discipline or had anxiety, I had those things, but I also was hardworking. I also had my faith. I also was competitive. So like you list out all the things that maybe somebody could be struggling with that you could serve because you were once that person. But then what did you have that like still pushed you through to come up with the third thing, which is so hard? What problem do I solve? And he wants you to get it in one word, but I can't get it in one word. I still have 5 things. So I'm still working on that. So I haven't done it yet. But then he said, I did do this. Then he said, make a list of 52 questions that you get asked on like a daily or weekly basis from the who's that are around you. And then make out all the 52 questions. And this is what I did the entire 3.5-hour flight home. So it does take some time to do this, but if you have any downtime, and then write your answer to that question next to it. And then he said, like, that's the stuff that you should be using for content. Like, why are we struggling to come up with all this content creation? I know, Kate, you're listening to this. Like, I'm preaching to myself because I'm always like, what should me and Tyler do next? But I thought that was the best exercise. Like, write 52 questions that you get asked the most and then work through that homework. So I was so glad that I did that. I loved him. He was my favorite. I mean, I loved him.
Yeah. And we went through his whole course for a year and I couldn't come up with one problem. I want to
It's
solve
so
too many
hard.
problems. It is so hard. I want to solve too many. You know what I mean? And that's the problem. Because I think, well, if I solve this one, I still have to solve all these others for them. And it's just, that is so difficult.
But when you say one word, Linda, like it does make sense. I just can't come up with that one word yet. I'll be thinking on it for you and you be thinking on it for me. But when you think about like Brene Brown, shame, Dave Ramsey, debt, Tony Robbins, pain, Lewis Holmes, self-doubt, Mother Teresa, poverty, MLK Jr., inequality, like they do kind of have one word.
Yeah, they do. So maybe the one word sums it all up. But, about the questions, here's the funny thing. Dan Sullivan told me this, and I've heard this even I think from Rory's program that I did, is you got to listen to the people because they're going to tell you what they want from you, which by the way is interesting because I've probably had, I don't know how many people come up to me and talk to me about just the different health things that we tell them to do. And I think, oh God,
Me too.
If we're their health guru, we better sharpen our tools.
They're in trouble.
Yeah. I mean, I guess by trial we are, but anyway, so I think that is something we really need to pay attention to. And I just kind of skim past the questions. I don't even know if I could sit down and write 52 questions.
Once you start, they will start coming to you. Like one of mine that I had, number 8, actually, I'm looking at my list right now, is what supplements do I take? The amount of people that asked me that at family reunion, probably because they've heard it on the podcast or because they've seen it on Instagram, like everybody's like, what supplements do you take? What are you, I mean, it's random questions. And where I struggle with this is, and he talked about this though, it is, they may not have anything to do with real estate, which would be the one thing that I would say that I actually feel confident that I could help somebody with. But it's all the other things that people want to get to know you. Like he said, your story or your grid is what you do, and your story on Instagram is like who you are every day, because that's what gets people to actually trust you and connect with you. So they might ask you a question about what supplements you take, but that's like an icebreaker for you, them trusting you and getting to know you to then talk about opportunities or real estate or whatever.
Yes, so true. Okay, so I wrote this down. This was a huge aha because this reminds me of something, and I think we tend to forget this because some of the stuff we do. This says people are praying for guidance on something like the back of your hand.
Loved that.
Who said that?
I have that in here somewhere. I don't remember. Was it him?
Or Phil? I don't know who it was. No. This is Rory still. I think
it's Rory. Yeah. Yeah, because he said, oh wait, where was the big thing? Because he said, oh my gosh, hold on. The big because people are really buying a solution to their problems. That's it. Like he said, you have to sell the problem as much as the solution. Become an ambassador to the problem because people want what like the back of your hand too. Yeah, same thing. Yeah.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, he was so good.
Yeah, I love Roy. I just think he makes so much sense. And I've noticed like you can start in one area, whatever it is, and then branch out. I think people get too worried about, being too small of area, whatever like he said, give a one bit of information each week. So even, like one little bit each week, answer just one question a week, he said.
Yeah, I'm laughing. I'm looking at my notes. This is why it takes me so long to type my notes up, because I've just written like the most random stuff when somebody says it all right. So I have Rory, it's okay to be scared, just do it scared. And then underneath that, I have order Pro Mix Rice Krispie treats.
But that's because the girl said that, the doctor said that.
Okay, she must have been next, and I went back up because I didn't have anywhere else to write that under, because I'm like, mine are all over the place.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out, is Dr. Gabrielle Lyon, I was trying to figure out why did she say to do it scared? What would we be scared of?
No,
'Cause she
I
talked
think
about-
Rory said that. And then it was the last thing that he said, because he was talking about fear gets to come along for the ride, but it doesn't get to drive. I loved that quote. And I think
Yeah.
that was the last thing that he said. And then she started. So my notes kind of like
Okay,
ran
well,
together.
I did the same thing.
I did order her book, Forever Strong, but I haven't read it yet. It's on my coming up list, but I did order her book, and it looks pretty good.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
She told us
yeah,
a lot of stuff that we kind of already knew, but was
yeah. You know what? I think it made a simple focus. She talked about just focus on your muscle and don't worry about your fat.
yeah,
I think it was kind of good advice again, it kind of gives you a singular focus, and the mostly way to build muscle is to eat more protein. So I've kind of just said, I'm not going to focus on anything else but protein. I'm just going to try to hit a protein goal every day. And then I can tighten everything up after that, after I accomplish that. But until I accomplish that, I might as well not focus on anything else.
Yeah, totally agree. And she was great, because I had just come off of my day with Dr. Ryan, and pretty much everything to solve every problem I have is to lift more weights and eat more protein. So it was like spot on.
Yeah. Plan for your weakness. I think she said that also.
Yeah, I loved that. She said, make practice harder than the game. And then like life's always easier. I thought that was really good.
Well, and plan for your weakness means if you know, like of the two things he told you, if you know the food's going to be the easy, but the weights are going to be the hard, then what's your plan around that one?
Yep. Got to have the plan. Yeah, I thought that was really good. This is a silly one, but I circled this one. She said breakfast is most important because your metabolism is primed for winning. And I'm just so terrible at breakfast. Like, one of the big things that I got from her is, if you're supposed to eat, whatever, say 120 grams of protein a day, or whatever, I think she said one gram per ideal pound that you want to weigh. But a lot of that for me usually is at dinner. And her little chart was like a 30-30-40 kind of deal, where like if you're going to have 100 grams of protein, you don't want to have 80 at dinner and 20 throughout the rest of the day. Like, you're really supposed to be dividing it up a little bit more. And that never made sense to me until she showed that. So I've been really working on like trying to do equal amounts of protein for breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Well, one of the reasons you do that, two reasons you do that. One is it keeps you satisfied longer, keeps the cravings down. But number two, your body really can't, I've heard the number like 40 to 50 is the max it can actually take in at any time.
Yeah.
So that may have something to do with it also.
Yep, that makes sense for sure. Yeah, she was great. I really liked her a lot. I thought she was good. I went and followed her on Instagram, so I've been watching all her stuff, and she's good.
So when she talked about, first of all, she talked about the plan for a weakness. The thing she said right behind that is to go find the successful people, go find the hack to help them get it done. What's the hack that will help them get it done?
I love that. I didn't write that down. I missed that. That's good.
You know what? She was supposed to give us the best sources of protein, but the thing didn't work. Did you ever figure out how to get that?
No, I couldn't get it to work. They said that they would send it out, so hopefully they still will.
Well, I think we had to go to her website or something. We might have to work on that. She
Okay,
did give a couple of brands, which I love it when people do that.
Me too.
So
She gave,
like it.
she said Natural Way, J-Rob something, Trivan something, the Pro Mix Rice Krispie treats, which I sent those to Amy Migdalia, and she hasn't responded yet. But I said, like, are these clean? Are these really good? And she said, let me research. We'll get back to you.
Okay, let me know what she says.
I will.
Oh,
They look good.
Travana is the protein that I use. That's the
Travana,
same
that
one.
was it.
Yeah, that's the one my girl says. But she said, Pete Monte's cows, they have like good meat you can order, and Force of
Yep.
Nature has good meat you can order. Um, so, and
Yep, those are all good.
she talked about, I think the Ripple drinks.
Yeah, the shakes. Yeah, she said she likes those. She likes the whey protein shake the best
Yeah, which I don't think
instead of
I don't.
plant-based.
Yeah. Okay. Is that what Ripple is?
Yep.
Guess.
Or well, they have both. I think they have whey and plant.
Okay. So, let's see. After her was the Cody Sanchez.
Yeah.
Loved her. I thought, how simple is that? And why have I not been thinking about it? Just go buy a business that is a boring business that's been there forever, that's
Yeah.
not going away. Right?
So I loved her. And I loved everything. I took a ton of notes that she said, but because of what we just talked about earlier, I kind of zoned out a little bit because I was like, no, that's the last thing that I need to do is go do more businesses. So I think, I don't know, I struggle with that, Linda, like, and knowing what we talked about earlier, but I guess when you know that one thing that you have is sound and good and you have the right who's and you're flourishing, then you could go do something else.
Well, the other way you can take that message is, if I'm really good and I've spent most of my 10,000 hours mastering market centers, why don't I go buy market centers or
Right.
start market centers that are businesses, right?
That are in the
That
realm. Yeah.
that are in the same realm. And then also, and my thinking of it was to find a someone, and that's what they do.
Yeah,
Like,
that's smart.
yeah,
Kind of like
where,
what Mitch does for Gary.
yeah. But I had not been thinking about that enough. So that's on my radar to think about more.
Yeah, that's good. That's a good one for you. I thought she was great. I loved her so much. She is super smart. Oh my gosh. I think Jimmy leaned
Yeah.
over like 10 times and said, gosh, she's so smart. Man, she's so smart. I was like, she is so smart.
Yes, yes. That might have been the one he took the most notes on. I don't know.
Yeah, I would say anybody listening, go follow her on Instagram too, because she posts a ton of great content. Cody, Codie Sanchez. She's the CEO of Contrarian Thinking, and she's just, yeah, she teaches you all about how to buy businesses. Very good.
That's awesome.
Oh,
Who
and
was
then
after?
this
Who
was
was after?
interesting. Linda, I have one more thing on her. This is interesting. She said she gave the stat that 6 out of 10 businesses get sold from seller financing. So like so
Yeah,
many people saying that they don't have the money, she was like, that's the worst excuse because 60% of businesses that are sold in the United States are sold from seller financing. And I was like, man, that's
yeah.
actually good for people to know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Oh,
for
and
sure.
she said there's 11 million small businesses for sale in the US on any given day.
Mm-hmm. Well, and we just got to think who, not how. Who
Yeah.
could do it for us, not how can we do it?
Yep. That's so smart. Yeah, I love that. Phil Jones was after her
I like him every time we hear him.
too.
I loved his little breakdown he gave us that said there were 5 awesome speakers, get one thing from each of them.
Yep.
Um, oh, did he say this did he say this in Gary's mastermind, or did he say this out loud with everybody?
The 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 thing.
No, because I saw him again at Gary's mastermind, so I'm not really sure which of my notes are from him, but he said, okay, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So
Yeah.
5 awesome speakers get one thing from each. So I put Tony Robbins, Change Your State,
Yep.
Roy Vaden, Who You Once Were, Dr. Lyons, Muscle, Plan for Your Weakness,
Yep.
Cody Sanchez, Buy Boring Businesses, Phil, Always Be Better Than Your Fee.
Oh yeah.
And I've actually used Mel Robbins 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 to get me running again. It worked perfect.
Oh, good.
Yeah. I thought, why did I get off of that? Because I used to do that.
Yeah.
But when you're stuck, that's a good tool to pull out of your tool belt and say,
Yeah.
why don't I just do the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 and see if I can get back in the habit of something.
Yep. Yeah. I loved her. I thought she was super good. Yeah. Phil was great. He always gives a ton of really good stuff. I liked when he said, oh shoot, where'd it go? I had it highlighted. Yeah, the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Is
Oh,
Go ahead.
I loved what he said about KW. He said, now that I've been able to work with Keller Williams for I think he said over a year now, he said to me, Keller Williams is a people development company funded by real estate. And I was like, man, I love that.
Yeah, I saw him on the front row of the cultural summit. I'm like, do we
I
have you now? Or
know.
what? He goes, I'm indoctrinated.
Yeah, I love that. I thought that was so good.
He said your 4 words. So five awesome speakers get one thing from each of them. Your 4 words were visibility. What am I doing to create visibility?
Credibility
Uh,
was next.
Yep, I don't have evidence and it didn't happen.
Yep.
Credibility, body of evidence,
Yeah.
till it's one word. He said the same thing. Authenticity, be who you are when you're paid at your best, even when you're not being paid.
Yeah.
Availability is what's in the shop. And then if you don't have access to your stuff, people won't buy.
Yeah. Yeah. That was really good.
What was his number 3? Obsession.
Positioning, packaging, and pricing. Positioning was who are the people that you want to help and what problem do you solve? Packaging, answer the questions, like have specific questions to answer. Same thing, kind of Rory said. And then pricing, always be better than your fee. And if you are not convinced, then you cannot convince.
Yeah, I love that. That's
Yeah, I
really
thought that
good.
thought that
You
was
know,
really good.
I also go and try to look for things that match up from lots of different people. You know, like if several successful people keep saying the same thing, then you can
Yeah.
pretty much go, you better make sure that's in there somewhere.
Yep, so true. Yeah. Yeah. So I felt like this year kind of a theme that they all talked about, which we've talked about a lot, but is the authenticity piece and like really knowing what problem you solve. Like Tony talked about that, Phil talked about that, Rory talked about that, Mel talked about that, how like she was an addict and this and that. Like, I mean, they all did that. They all talked about what they used to be and how they overcame it and now how they solve it for other people.
Yeah. I wrote down one thing and I can't remember what the context was. It says the one thing that will carry you to 1,000 places. I don't know what that was. And it says, know your one thing, repeat it, and everyone around you should know your one thing.
Yeah, that was his 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That was the one.
Oh, that was the one.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, it was
So I
good.
guess it's kind of like your Rory's 1 word problem, what you're known for.
Yeah, totally.
Okay. Make a list of all my, okay, now this is notes to myself. Make a list. Always make a list.
Gosh, we probably should have had 2 episodes of this, but I would say let's quickly, like in the next 5 minutes, hit on, oh gosh, yeah, because we haven't even done Gary. Let's talk about Tony and Mel. What were like what did you think? What were some of your best things from them?
I think for Tony, it was that change your state. I mean, did he say anything else? I mean, I guess I felt like, I don't know what I felt like with him.
I said afterwards, I didn't know if I was like, after 3.5 hours, was I ready to run through a brick wall or was I ready to go take like a 4-hour nap? I couldn't decide.
Well, I did say this. I don't think I could go do 3 days and walk through fire. That's for sure. I couldn't do 3 days of that.
It was a lot. It was good. It was a lot though.
I loved Mel Robbins. I think I liked her the best between the 2 of them. And not that I don't like him. I do like him. It's just, I don't know. Anyway, but she said the same thing. She kept changing our state. If you notice, both of them did. Both of them kept changing our state, making us get up, making us get down. And then I loved that 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Like I said, I came home and immediately used it and started back running again, which was what I needed to do.
Yep.
And yeah.
Yeah, I loved it.
This year I blank. This year I blank, and you got to fill in the blank of what you will this year.
Yeah, no, I know. I haven't gotten to my homework from her yet. But I did. I loved her too. I liked a lot of the pattern visualization, utilization, creation. Like when Tony talked about, I'm trying to find it. I love when he said the most important thing in everything that you do is your energy level. Low energy equals low performer, high energy equals high performer. Your emotional state is most important because that's your shifting of your energy. Not like you have to be like, woo, all the time, but just like, are you passionate about what you're doing energy wise, like within? I thought was really good. And then I liked when he talked about the seasons of a person's life. Like spring is 0 to 21 years old. You're creating, you're growing, you're absorbing. Summer is 22 to 42 years old. It's the most uncomfortable and least happy of all because you're figuring out who you are. Fall is 43 years old to 63 years old. You're reaping what you've sowed. If you've worked hard, you've probably made the most money during those times. And then winter, 64 to 84, is when you're leading, you're mentoring, you're slowing down. If you're healthy, it's your happiest season of all because life has more meaning. I loved all that. I was like, man, that's like all of those are kind of encouraging.
Yeah, they are. Speaking of, I thought of him yesterday because I was telling Jimmy, I was like, I don't know why I just feel really, really tired. Like I feel fatigued. So I thought, you know what? Last thing I want to do is go for a walk, but I bundled up and went outside and went for a walk, and it totally changed everything. Came back, totally didn't feel like I was fatigued and down. It changed everything. So I think sometimes the thing you don't feel like you should do is probably the thing you should go do, just
Totally
to change
agree.
the state and change your mindset about whatever is happening.
Yeah. The changing of the state is huge. I mean, it really is huge. He said, because he said that, Linda. He said, if you understand what you can do with your body, you can easily change your state in a minute.
Yeah. And he said, when life is tough, move.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had pages of stuff from him, but those were probably just my biggest ones. I think the biggest is exactly what you said, just knowing that you can change your state. Like you don't have to be stuck where you are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, because he said state controls performance, which is true.
What does?
Your state controls your performance.
Yeah.
He said, everything we do is not our ability. It's the state that we are in. It has nothing to do with ability. Your state controls your performance. Don't be normal. Train your nervous system to change your state up so that you can have, you can achieve higher results.
Mm-hmm. One of the ways to train your nervous system is cold plunge and cold shower.
Yeah, which I'm not good
at. What Mel said on her podcast yesterday was she struggled with anxiety, and that one of the things that she's working with to help it is cold plunge, because cold plunge makes you immediately have to control your breathing and control your state of mind.
You're focused on something else. Yeah. Yeah, I love it. There were so many great ones. I can't find my notes from Mel, but you said so much of it. Oh, yeah. I know what it was. Okay, I found my last thing of Mel. She said, if you sit in the fear, it gets bigger. Action and movement actually replace the fear, which was like that exercise that she did with that girl. But like every time she moved and like went to the next envelope, her nerves came down. Like she actually got less anxious and less fearful. And I like how she explained that. I just thought that was so good.
Yeah, that was very good. Okay. All right. I guess we'll do a part 2 of family reunion. There was so much stuff.
Yeah, there was a ton. Yeah, I still have a lot of notes on Gary's stuff too, like the industry update and all that stuff also. But I'm doing a Zoom on that tomorrow. So anybody listening tomorrow morning can jump on tomorrow at 1 p.m. if you want, and I'll go over all the numbers with everybody, because I think sometimes it takes people 2 or 3 times to break those numbers down.
Well, one of the things that all this makes me proudest of is, how we always want to do what John says, which is prepare on the front end and reflect on the back end.
Yep.
At least by doing this, we're having to reflect on the back end.
Very true. Yep. Very true.
We'll get there one way. We are playing to our weakness. We're handling our weakness.
That's right.
We're hacking our weakness or something with this. Awesome. So remember, if you have not hit the subscribe button, please go ahead and do that now. And the greatest compliment you could do for Dana and I is to pass this podcast along to someone that you think would be interested in these conversations. If you'd like to be a guest or know of a topic or a question or a challenge that you'd want covered on the podcast, reach out to us at info@everything life and real estate. And Dana, I guess I'll see you next week.
Sounds good. See you then.
Be sure to subscribe for more business strategies and tactics to inspire you to live an abundant real estate life. Don't forget to rate and review so we can bring you the best content. Find this and other valuable information at everythinglifeandrealestate.com.